ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MKUltra show. I am, of course, as always, your host, Carter M. Nelson. Very excited to be back with you guys on Monday. Been a couple days. Very excited to see what comes out of this week, especially with James Fishback's election tomorrow. The Florida primary will take place on Tuesday, which is, of course, like I just said, tomorrow. So that's something to be very excited about. We will actually be getting into why James Fishback is the correct choice for Florida throughout this show. For those of you who haven't been following me for a while, I have been a very avid Fishback supporter since the very start. So that's absolutely something we are going to be getting into. And we're also going to be talking about Trump threatening to bomb Oman. So that's absolutely huge. Oman has been somebody we've been trying to work with to bust open the Strait of Hormuz. Now we're threatening to bomb them. So we're going to get into all of that. Jackson Kim, how did your job interview go? It went absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for asking. But before I get into the show, I would like to ask you guys, please like and subscribe. It greatly helps out the show. Share it with anybody you think might be interested. Every little bit helps more than you could possibly imagine. Sorry if I sound a little bit off today. I'm feeling a little bit sick, but we're good. We are pushing it through anyways. One last announcement. Today and tomorrow may be the last shows for a little while until I get a little bit more settled in. I'm not totally sure what the plan will be for sure, but I'm moving into my college dorm on Wednesday. And because of that, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to keep this show going, especially at a consistent time at 8 p.m. So today and tomorrow may be the last shows. That doesn't mean an end of content, of course. I will continue making sure we have those long form videos put out, and I will start clipping up more of these previous streams and getting those posted. So, not an end of content, but there is a very likely chance that there will be at minimum a hiatus on the show, but we'll be back. We will certainly come back. These won't be the last two shows ever. We'll come back. Keep the show. I will. I will. This isn't the end of it. This is just a short hiatus until I can figure out what the best way to go is. It could be just inconsistent streams. We'll see. I will let you guys know, keep you further updated. But without a further of ado, we are going to go ahead and get straight into it. Trump threatens to bomb Oman. Earlier today, he stated, quote, "I don't think they behaved very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do others." And this is a statement he made to reporters in the Oval Office earlier after they were asking him about his statement where he reportedly said, "We'll bomb the shit out of them." And the reason that all of this is going down, because obviously Oman has been one of the nations that we've been working with to try to actually bust open the strait, one of the nations we've been using to circumvent Iran to ensure some traffic can still get through, to ensure some oil passage can continue. But as we talked about on the show last week, Oman and Iran have been in talks with one another, and they've been in these talks with the goal of putting together a deal where Iran will be able to put a tax on traffic coming into the strait, and Oman will be able to put a tax on traffic coming out of the strait. So they've been essentially going behind the US's back and put together, try to put together excuse me, try to put together a deal to open the strait back up that is mutually beneficial for both parties. Hey, bro, saw you at Kane's. Hope you get the job from your favorite stalker. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So many stalkers. I can't blame you guys. I mean, I'm a pretty interesting person. I'd stalk me too. Love ya. Um, you're getting me all off track here. But Iran, Oman, trying to put together this deal to essentially circumvent the United States in order to both be able to have an economically beneficial plan for the future of the strait. Now, one of the priorities of the United States, and this is something we've been talking about in detail, is ensuring that the strait is completely open, no taxation on any ships coming in or out. They want to ensure that no cost can be put on the oil being maneuvered. They want to ensure Iran isn't getting any benefit. And why is this such a big deal? Well, before the war, for those of you who may not know, Iran did not make any money off of traffic through the strait. In fact, nobody did. It was completely open. So a tax now, Iran getting this benefit now, it would completely say that they actually won the war. It would show that they got a benefit from the conflict. If we go to war with a nation in order to essentially destroy their nuclear program, and they come out of it with a still unregulated nuclear program, and now are putting a charge on traffic through the strait, well, now this is just a complete, very obvious loss. The United States cannot do that. It is far too embarrassing for their place on the global power. It's not an option. So when they find out that there's this purported deal going on between Oman and Iran, the United States is saying, absolutely not. We'll bomb you too. We will view you as an enemy, view you as somebody who is doing the work with Iran that Oman is doing. But at the same time, it's hard to blame the nation of Oman. Because when you think about it culturally, Oman is much more similar to Iran. It isn't unreasonable that they don't look at us as a strong ally because we will always put Israel first. They're going to look at this as, hey, if we have an opportunity to get something out of this, and Iran will allow us to make money off of this traffic, and the United States absolutely won't. Well, now what's the situation? Who is it more reasonable for them to pick? Well, naturally, it's going to be Iran. And this hasn't been anything new out of the nation of Oman either. When we look at previous statements made by the Omani Foreign Minister Badir al Busadi, he has recently said, back in March, whatever your view of Iran, this war is not their making. Oman has done work and essentially to completely prevent this conflict. And the foreign minister who I just spoke about is somebody who's been trying to create a negotiating table and has helped with mediating negotiations in an attempt to end the war. What these nations in the Middle East, especially these Gulf states, are seeing is this conflict can blow up to any of us. They're all feeling it. The Saudis are feeling it with the Houthis. Qatar is feeling it. Kuwait is feeling it. Iran is certainly feeling it. Oman isn't trusting that this conflict going on is going to be beneficial for their future. So if their best way out is to negotiate this deal, they are going to do it. They are on the United States side. They're on the side of ending the war. Again, it's not something unpredictable by any means, especially if they feel that they can get a benefit out of this. And Trump is saying, well, we'll bomb you. And this just actually goes to show how little negotiating room the United States actually has. The reason Trump feels the need to make a statement like this is because he believes that this deal between the Omanis and the Iranians is legitimately threatening towards the United States progressing in a potential deal. They feel that if Oman starts backing Iran, it completely destroys the United States' place on the negotiating table. It won't be safe for their future. And because of this, Trump now feels the need to threaten the nation. He cannot let another piece of the negotiating puzzle fall out of place because of how dire the situation actually is. And that's what a lot of people aren't realizing. the economy is only getting worse. It's not going to get better as this war goes on. We're not going to stabilize from it. No, as we continue to fail to bust open the strait, which pre war was where 20% of the world's oil came from. Well, guess what? All of the nations, every nation of the world will continue to feel that. And it will continue getting worse, especially as nations continue to be forced to run on their reserves. It's not going to be a healthy situation. So any piece of that puzzle falling apart, catastrophic to the point where we are considering legitimately going into a war with another Middle Eastern nation, considering bombing another Middle Eastern nation, which it must be dire because everybody knows Trump isn't stupid. The people around him, his advisors aren't stupid. His cabinet is not stupid. So if he feels the need to say that, especially with how unpopular war is among the voters going into a midterms, which already aren't looking good for Republicans, and a 2028 election, which is not looking good for Trump backed Republicans, well, then it must be dire. It must feel necessary. It's actually very similar and very telling as to what had just happened with South Korea yesterday, where Trump is now demanding that we pull back on our joint military trainings with the South Koreans, which he said were because we have these good relations with North Korea, which frankly isn't really true. We may have okay relations, but they're by no means good relations. Instead, he is saying this because, as he claimed to be unrelated, he asked South Korea for support to bust open the strait, in which they responded with an affirmative no. Trump is feeling the pressure. He's trying to get out of the war, and there's no easy way out. And nations are turning on him throughout the Middle East. And now this is the situation that's been presented. Now we are in a spot where we are threatening to bomb Oman. The conflict is only growing. It's only spreading. There's no good way to look at this. Give us a 369 stream. Well, I just said that these are going to be probably my last two shows for a while, and I'm not going to dedicate either of these to 369, so probably not. If you don't know what 369 is, it's a very interesting theory about vortex math and the secrets of the universe being held in numerical values. It's awesome, and I should not be the one to teach you because I am by no means a successful mathematician. I have no credentials. Go look at somebody else to tell you 369. I'm not your guy. I'm sorry. This is a political show. I'm not going to break down the mathematical secrets of the universe. Two totally different realms, and one is not my realm. So, nope, I'm sorry. Moving on. James Fishback. His primary is tomorrow. They have already had early voting going, but we will begin to see the results and likely see the final results of the election late tomorrow night. Now, I will be doing a stream tomorrow, the last stream of the show for some time, very likely. And during this stream, we will just completely dedicate it to watching that primary because it's something I am very excited about. As I said at the start of the show, I have been an avid James Fishback supporter since November. I believe it was late November-ish. Far before the majority of the far right started jumping on that movement. I have been here supporting him very, very openly. In fact, I remember when the Groypers were on Twitter saying that James Fishback was a fraud, and I predicted that Nick Fuentes would say positive things about Fishback and all the Groypers would change up, because that's just typically how it goes. But his election is tomorrow. It's going to be a very consequential one. It's going to be one that actually shows us how much Of the black pill are we going to take, or how much of the white pill are we going to take? Do we have any hope for the future? Is Gen Z truly as far right as we've made them out to be? Are the Groypers as influential as we've made them out to be? Can the Gen Z young white man actually win an election, or at least sway it to the point where it is at a minimum a close election? And I don't expect Fishback to win, but I'm very excited to see what happens, and I greatly hope he does. But we're going to dedicate the rest of this show to be talking about why you, if you are a Florida resident, should be voting for Fishback, or simply why he would be such a great governor for Fishback. Or, excuse me, why he would be such a great governor for Florida, for those of you who aren't Florida residents, like myself. So, obviously, our last show we talked about AOC and we talked about how bad of a platform she has, and we talked about that due to her rising market on Poly Market, on her odds to become the next president of the United States. So, today we're going to be talking about how great of a platform Fishback has. We're going to get right into it. One of his biggest campaign promises is to ban data centers. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm on the extremities, but I tend to think that's a good thing. Reduce the surveillance state, protect Floridian land, protect Floridian water, prevent drastic increases in energy and water prices for Florida residents. Energy and water prices that will not be returned to these residents. They will not see a major gain in the addition of these data centers. No, no. Respect says we're not going to regulate them. We're not going to just allow them to come here. No, we are going to keep them out of Florida. We are going to, excuse me, knock down my energy drink tower. We are going to ensure that Florida remains the freest state in the United States of America. And that is an excellent, excellent campaign promise. That is something that I wish we could see out of more governors, but very few are willing to do this because most governors, guess what? They're bought out. Most politicians in general, they're bought out. Fishback, though, is honestly the only exciting candidate we have seen so far. So that's amazing. He has also talked about removing the property tax on homestead properties, and he doesn't just promise free things, he actually tells you how he's going to achieve it. And he says he'll do this by cutting the government spending in Florida back down to the 2021 levels, which would reduce $20 billion in savings. And to cut the homestead property tax, it would require just 18 billion. And he actually furthers this by saying he's actually just going to be protecting the single home families by continuing to tax second homes, continuing to tax these vacation homes to reduce the number of people buying multiple houses to protect the housing prices while also cutting back on an unfair property tax. Great idea, phenomenal idea, something that we would love to see across the nation. Also, to protect homes, he has said that he will ban private equity from buying up ownership within the state of Florida. And for those of you who don't know, private equity, it's those major corporations who go in, buy a bunch of housing, rent it out for a period of time, hold on to it until the price naturally increases, because of course a house is an asset and the value of it will consistently rise as long as you take decent care of it. So they will rent it out for a period of time and then they'll sell it back to the market at a higher premium. Well, Fishback says absolutely not. We will actually protect the young people trying to buy their first houses. We will protect the individual, the family who actually wants to own something. He does not believe in the idea of you will own nothing and be happy. Instead, he promotes the idea that each person deserves at least the chance to work hard and one day buy a house. And that is something that I find to be quite beautiful and quite necessary for our nation. He has also spoken about fighting against fraud in homeowners insurance. He says that that is going to be something that he works hard to do with the goal of reducing homeownership insurance, essentially by increasing the Florida infrastructure against hurricane damage, which will help reduce the number of claims, which will reduce the price, the premium of insurance. He has also spoken about, again, just fighting against the fraud. He has claimed that Florida is the capital of home ownership fraud by these insurance companies. So that is something that he will root out and destroy. Finally, or the last 2 points on housing, he will fight for a transparency on HOAs. He says that HOAs are charging massive, massive fees to live in a neighborhood, which is undeniably true. And what he will do is force them to be transparent where all of their money goes to and criminally prosecute those who refuse or those who lie on these documentations. That is wonderful. We all know that in the majority of our nation, the HOA is a joke. The HOA simply makes money and doesn't do anything productive with it, doesn't do anything good for the community with it. So instead, he's going to ensure that they have to be transparent where your money is going. Beautiful. He has also said that he will create a zero interest, one time $10,000 loan for new homeowners so that they can put their first down payment on a house. He believes in helping people get to the point where they can buy a house and also not be in debt for the rest of their life for it. Wonderful, wonderful idea. That's what our nation needs. Helping people become homeowners, helping people take on that responsibility. Don't you possibly think that something that can really further a person's life is actually being responsible for something bigger than themselves, being responsible for a family, being responsible for a home? It is very likely that part of the lack of responsibility we see in people, the desire for constant free stuff without any ever wanting to work or pay for it, that could come from never actually having to take care of anything themselves. This not only helps people buy homes, but helps create that responsibility in the coming generations. Beautiful. Another major part of his platform is he is a strong on crime candidate. And this is shown, one, by him picking his running mate, future Lieutenant Governor of Florida, Sean Lozano. By the way, go watch his introductory video. It's one of the most badass political videos I've ever seen. It is absolutely phenomenal. But on this tough on crime, he talks about ending team takeovers, which I would like to point out he accurately described as being majority young black Americans, young black Floridians. He said, look, it's not racist to say this is who's doing it. And you know how we stop these from happening, from destroying our cities? Well, if you are a part of one of these, you will be prosecuted as an adult. You will be charged with felonies. This will not be acceptable. We're not going to give you a slap on the wrist for one of these teen takeovers. No, no, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And that is what we need. Because guess what? You don't, you know how you don't destroy high crime? You want to know how you find a high crime area and make it stay high crime? Well, the best way to keep high crime in high crime areas is to not actually prosecute people for doing crime, to give them slaps on the wrist, to let them off scot free. Want to know how to help Black America? Guess what? You got to prosecute them just like everybody else gets prosecuted. You have to be strong on crime. You have to give them a reason not to do violent behavior. Is why listen? Why would they listen if you never do anything more than a slap on the wrist? It's a joke. He has also talked about removing Soros-aligned prosecutors to ensure that no longer the prosecution office will offer really easy get off scot free plea deals for offenders, and instead they will do their jobs and prosecute the criminals. This goes back to my previous point. He has also talked about backing the police department where he has talked about helping them with retirement to ensure that they don't just get a set amount of money forever, and instead, part of it will, their retirement will raise with the rate of inflation to ensure that they're not screwed 30 years down the line. He's also talked about bringing the retirement age down from 25 years of service down to 20 years, saying that 20 years of service is plenty to deserve a pension, which I fully agree with. We need to treat our cops better. If there's any group of people who needs to get treated better, it's the veterans and it's the cops. So, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely great. He is also incredibly, incredibly pro life. He has been one of the very few Republicans running for office to actually say that abortion is, in fact, murder and it needs to be done away with. On the contrary, Byron Donalds has said he doesn't really feel the need to go any further than the current gestational limit. What's up with that, Byron? What? You want to continue supporting abortion in your community? That's something you're okay with, Byron? While on the other hand, James Fishback is willing to say it how it is, call it murder, and implement a plan to get rid of it by removing all of the abortion clinics across Florida. And not only is he supporting the end of abortion, he's also supporting families. He is going to replace these abortion centers with crisis pregnancy centers to give mothers the help that they actually need. Because pro life is not just about protecting the child in the womb, but it's about ensuring the safety of both the mother and the child and ensuring they have proper access to treatment and care. That's a wonderful thing. We need to be encouraging more families. In a nation where we are not hitting the replacement level, we have to ensure that we are encouraging this. Have to ensure that we are saying we don't only want you to be forced to carry your pregnancy to term, but we want to help you through it. Hold your hand through it. That is beautiful. That is a good thing. He's also talked about ensuring a universal paid maternity leave for mothers. Again, some people like to go at stuff like this, especially on the more fiscally conservative group, and they're like, look, paid maternity leave, that's just socialism. Everybody should have to work. If you want money, you have to work. Well, guess what? We're not hitting replacement levels. We need to encourage families. And you know what? I believe that kids deserve time with their mothers. And if you just give birth, I think you do deserve a little time off because you are doing a great service to this nation. I think that being a mother is a service in itself. And for that, I am all for paid maternity leave. In fact, personally, I would go a step further and I would legitimately offer a payment for stay-at-home moms because I think that is a wonderful thing. I think that is a job that deserves income, especially in a nation. Maybe it's a little bit different when we're talking about the 1940s, like these extreme fiscal conservatives like to say. When we're talking about the 1940s and you could raise a four-family, five-family household on $35,000 of income a year. But now, guess what? You need two incomes to survive in 99% of cases. So I would be completely open towards mothers getting a little bit of my paycheck. That's something I'm okay with. That's something I'm okay with my tax dollars going to. But maybe that's just me. Also, to protect home ownership, he has also talked about taxing out of state vacation home buyers in a tax he calls the Mamdani tax. So this means when somebody or buys a vacation home, they will put a tax on that. That person will have to pay money into Florida for being somebody who is taking up Florida space just as a summer home or however they use it, a winter home. If you're coming from New York, you're trying to escape the cold, guess what? You're going to have to pay a little bit to maintain that housing, which, again, it's totally fair. It's good for Floridian citizens. And that's what the Florida governor should be focused on. He has also talked about a 5% tax on home sales above $100 million to help out with his plans to reduce overall property tax and a tax he calls it the Zuckerbucks tax. I love this guy's names for everything. He talked about the Byron Act, the Zuckerbucks tax, the Mamdani tax. I love how he just makes sure to dig throw his little political digs at his opponents with the laws he wants to implement. Imagine how beautiful that would be. It would be amazing. Imagine Zuckerberg wants to buy $100 million house and he has to pay the Zuckerbucks tax. That's absolutely phenomenal. Fishback is also very, very pro First Amendment. In fact, on his campaign page, he's talked about how Florida has been trying to prosecute people for criticisms of foreign nations. I wonder who that could be. Israel. Israel. He wants to ensure that you get to criticize Israel. Awesome. He wants to ensure you have free speech completely. Awesome. That's beautiful. You deserve the right to speak your mind. You deserve to be able to voice your opinion, no matter who it is about, what it is about. Your opinion, it it should be legally allowed to be voiced. Even if look, even if you want to say some dumb shit, guess what? You should have the right to say it. He has also talked about a syntax where people making money on platforms like OnlyFans will have to pay a 50% tax on their earnings, which is amazing. Help discourage young women from picking that career. Great. Necessary in a time where that is growing. He has also talked about a 50% tax on the platform users, which is great. Not only are we going to try to prevent young women from going down that career, but also prevent young men or paying for women going down that career. Two very necessary things. He is also very pro 2A. He has talked about moving the age to buy any firearm back down to 18. He's talked about removing a lot of the unnecessary red flag laws. Great. Great. The government is trying to take away many of our rights to constitutionally carry, and Fishback will support your constitutional rights. He has also talked about protecting your Fourth Amendment rights by ending flock cameras across the entire nation. Great. Needs to be not done. Nobody else is ending the surveillance state, but Fishback is promising to. Fishback doesn't believe that the government should see everything you do everywhere you go for your entire life. No, no. Fishback is saying none of that in Florida. Florida needs that, especially when he's running against Byron Donalds, who is very pro all of that. He has also said that he will end all state and local contracts with Palantir. Palantir out of the state. Wonderful. Beautiful. Fishback is going to be truly an America First candidate. Fishback is somebody who is Florida first, America first, will not put Israel first, will not accept APAC money. Fishback is what this nation needs. Not just what Florida needs, but what this nation needs. And a Fishback victory not only means a brighter future for Florida, but hope for the rest of the nation. Hope for us non Floridians, for us stuck in liberal blue states. It would be wonderful. It would be necessary. And that is why, if you are a Florida resident watching this, go vote Fishback. And if you're not, support him. Do what you can. Talk about him online. Help build the hype. Continue, continue supporting this man because we need him in the future of American politics. But that is all I have to say on that. We're going to begin wrapping the show up. Now, if you guys have any questions for me, please let me know. In the meantime, we'll do a quick recap of everything we talked about. One, Trump threatening to bomb Oman. It's really just showing how dire the situation is becoming in the Middle Eastern front, how much we are struggling with the Strait of Hormuz. Fishback, the necessary candidate for Florida. When we talked about AOC, all black pill, talk about Fishback, all white pill. We're headed towards the future, and the future is bright. So bright. I can reach up at it. That's what I'm doing right now. I am reaching towards the bright future and nothing else. It's not a dog whistle. But yeah, that's everything I have for you guys tonight. Tomorrow, again, we're going to be doing a special where we are going to watch the primary results unfold. That'll be the bulk of the show. If there's any other major news stories that pop up, we'll obviously talk about those. But the show will be watching the election results. Cannot wait for that. And then, like I said, last couple shows and then we may be on a hiatus as I figure out the plan of what I will be doing after I go to college. So, yeah, that is all I have for you guys. Please like and subscribe one last time if you enjoyed the show, want to see more of it. 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is the typical show, but I can't say I can't really say Monday through Friday anymore because I don't know how long that's going to last. But again, thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are the best. Cannot wait to be back with you all tomorrow. So long, peace out, and God bless you all.